Welcome to Conversations with Leaders in Luxury. I'm Chris Olshan, CEO of the Luxury Marketing Council. Since 1994, 1,000 luxury brands, 5,000 CEOs and CMOs in some 41 cities worldwide. Today I have the pleasure to be with Mark Logan, CEO of Wealth Engine. Mark, it's a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much for coming out for this.
Chris, thanks so much for your time. My pleasure.
So why don't we start with some background about you? Tell me how you got to this position.
Sure. So I've been a lifelong technology leader. So I've been in a number of large and then some other smaller software, SaaS and technology companies, mostly looking to focus on customers. So I was a co-founder of a CRM company, CRM being customer relationship management.
Okay.
And that's evolved into really having a focus on the customer and leveraging data to serve client needs.
Absolutely. It's funny, we were just moving some of the offices over the weekend, and I came across a number of our council binders full of business cards. And I said, thank God for CRM, because these are just antiques at this point that you don't have to lug around anymore.
Of course.
So it's come a long way from the client books and the business cards to what it is today.
Sure has. Yeah.
So from CRM, you went into...
So I evolved into I worked for PeopleSoft for a period of time, which is a very, very large application company. Again, kind of focused on customers and people and human resources. And then I evolved into hearing a little bit about Wealth Engine. So Wealth Engine's a business that's been around for almost 20 years now.
Yep.
And we're really at the intersection point between big data, which is a much overused term, but it's the accumulation of massive amounts of data. We have over 500 billion data points in our database. So we're at the intersection between big data and SaaS analytics tools. And I heard about this very fascinating business. So about 3 years ago, I was brought in to help lead the company into bigger and more extensive commercial markets, which is one of the reasons we're here today.
Okay. For those who don't know, can you explain SaaS a little bit?
I can. It's software as a service. So for the longest time, a business, a company would acquire a software technology, install it on their premises, and it would be a big purchase and difficult to manage. Fast forward to today, those services or software services are provided over the web. Sure. It's much more cost effective. The speed of change is much more rapid, and the ability to have the business, in this case Wealth Engine, address market demands and then quickly serve up our customers so that they can in turn serve up their customers with new needed functionality and analytics.
Got it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Wealth Engine.
Sure.
Can you tell us the backstory of the company? Most of our members know who you guys are because you've been involved for a number of years, and in my opinion are the best in the industry, but just as a background, talk to us a little bit about what the company does.
Well, thank you for that acknowledgement, and we do believe that in our niche area, in our area of focus, Chris, that we are the finest provider of wealth data and analytics that really cover a whole array of consumer attributes and behaviors. I'll give you a few statistics.
Yeah.
We have 240 million profiles in our database.
Okay.
And that essentially captures every adult in the United States. We have upwards to 1,500 lifestyle attributes about everybody. So those attributes could run the gamut between the assets you own, the cars, the boats, the yachts, the planes, into interests, fine wine, arts and leisure, travel interests, etc. So we amass all of this data, and which is a daunting task. But then we distill it down and serve it up to our customers that are then marketing to the end consumer.
Okay.
We've been doing this for over 20 years, and I'm happy to say we have over 2,800 customers at this point in time that rely on our data, tools, and analytics on a daily basis.
I was actually on your website yesterday just doing a little bit of cleanup work, make sure I had all the brands in order. I noticed a number of the companies you work with are members of the Luxury Marketing Council.
Of course, yeah.
So there's definitely some strong synergies.
It's been a great relationship with you.
Yeah, we love having you guys involved.
Indeed.
So I guess another question, and tell me if this is something you guys can answer. A lot of people, when we talk about big data, don't fully understand how that happens, how that material is captured, how it's distilled, how it's turned into something relevant. One of our other members tells the story at all of our events about when he's in major cities, he stays at a W hotel. When he's in third-rate cities, it's a Fairfield Inn and Suites. both companies have their own data capture, both assume that they know him as a customer. One's sending them, emails about farm shows and tractor pulls. The other one is Broadway tickets and opera night. And neither really have a full handle on who he is as a customer. I notice with your profiles, you do. So how do you go about getting that information and distilling it in a way that it really captures the essence of the customer?
Chris, there's really a couple of strategies. And the foundation starts with the following. We're going off and seeking the best sources of data, and we go out and acquire them. So at any given time, we have 40 to 50 different data sources that we'll acquire. That might be yacht ownership, it might be luxury goods interests, and the like. So we'll acquire these sources, we'll normalize them into this database, and then we'll perform analytics. But we're at our best when we then merge our data, that's our third-party data, with individual consumer data. So if we are doing business with a large hospitality firm, like the reference you made, or a luxury retailer of fine jewelry, we'll combine their consumer data with our third-party data, and then analyze it, and with this combination we append their data so that they have terrific insights into the behaviors and trends of the customers they may already know, but we are able to inform them with key insights that they were not aware of previously.
And I think that's a brilliant point that most people, I think, miss, is that it's not just your data you're using, you're actually working with your clients, taking their data and integrating it to really get a perfect profile.
We are, and allow me to give you another example of a new trend that we see, Chris. So we launched a product that we call We Analyze. We put the We, which is short for Wealth Engine, moniker in the front of our products. So We Analyze does real-time look-alike modeling. So that's a fancy phrase. What it means is we'll take a subset of customers. Our clients will point out their best consumers. Perhaps these are folks that have been customers for many, many years, multi-generational. They do more than a certain number of stays in a hotel, certain number of purchases in a retail location, etc. So they'll give us their best. And we'll then be able to append and analyze exactly what makes them unique. And we create what we call a unique thumbprint on their best customers.
Okay.
Then what we can do is take that analytics, that model, and dip into our database of 240 million people and say to our customers, here's another list of prospects, maybe 50,000, maybe 100,000, that are exact matches to your best customers. With that list of prospects, they then do directed marketing that yields a greater result.
Okay, that's brilliant. In fact, I saw that on the site and said, wow, this is a great idea, because in our organization, one of the big things is acquiring more of the customers like the best customers,
Precisely.
cross-selling and upselling and getting referral from those top clients. So you basically take the guesswork out of that and take the onus off of the end customer to provide the referrals.
That's exactly right. And this concept is not a new one, but it used to be done via humans and services that would take 3 to 4 to 5 weeks to create these models, and then you'd go off to third parties to find list brokers. Well, we've now consolidated this down into 5 to 10 minutes of work, all automated, all at scale, across the whole chasm of the entire U.S. population. So it's more accurate, it's more actionable, it's faster, more rapid, more real time.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so now that we kind of have the backstory of what makes you guys tick, what are some of the things that really distinguish you from the competition?
Well, I think so number one is the scale that we operate at, 240 million different profiles. But what's very challenging in the deliverable here, Chris, is if this were static data, it would be very, very doable. But it's dynamic. People's interests change on a daily basis. People's wealth profile changes on an ongoing basis. You could be a high net worth individual that recently has experienced an IPO. You've sold a real estate holding. There's a wealth event. So this ever-changing landscape of data is very, very challenging. We invest a fortune in R&D. So we believe that technologically speaking, we are state of the art in providing more real-time information that's up to speed at scale. And speaking of the real-time nature, we're now seeing a trend in luxury marketing. And as you move to the millennials and the Gen Xers, there's an expectation of not only instant gratification, but instant access to information. So they're expecting you know a little bit about them before they come to your storefront or your e-commerce site or your hotel. etc. So with Wealth Engine, we're now putting real-time tools and embedding them into reservation systems, point of sale systems, so that a little bit of information about Chris when you come to my storefront will be known as you're in checkout or as you're making a reservation.
Which is absolutely phenomenal. I think one of the challenges, I mean, talking about the restaurant side, a lot of restaurants now use the reservation as a way to look at Facebook, look at Twitter, look at LinkedIn and say, okay, how connected is this person that we are serving? When really, especially with social media going the way it's going and the amount of leaks and the amount of issues with separating personal from business, people are no longer using social media the way they were 5 years ago. And somebody who may be an ultra high net worth customer and may be a perfect target for a brand may not have the public Facebook profile that has 10,000 followers on it, even though they can afford the product. So I think the fact that you guys are able to drill down deep directly to the customer and give those brands that little bit of an edge before the millennial walks in, especially talking about the younger generation, is huge.
Mm-hmm. We have, one of the other areas that's worth noting about our business, we have been a longstanding provider of wealth data to the nonprofit sector. So while that might not intuitively be important for a luxury marketing retailer or a high-end jeweler, it provides great signal for us because the nonprofiters that use our product are able to help update and nurture our charitable donation information, which tends to be a great signal for wealth. So if I'm not out on sites and social media sites as much as I was in the past, I still might be making donations to my college, to my favorite charity, and so forth. And those are great signals that give Wealth Engine an unfair advantage in providing data to this market.
Absolutely. In fact, I know the Humane Society is one of your clients. And you know, in the luxury space especially, we believe it's the combination of 4 different pillars. It's business, the arts, academia, and the not-for-profit world. And especially going back to the millennials again, and even some of the Gen Xers, for luxury brands to really be successful, there has to be a cultural and not-for-profit component to their business. And if you're able to kind of track by donor, that's another huge, powerful impact, because you can say, okay, here are the people that are working with a charity that you are working with as well, and there's synergies here where it's another appreciation of the brand, another reason to buy from the company.
It really is, Chris. And allow me to take that one step further. So knowing information about your clients, your best customers is critical, and having that drill down to be able to understand capacity and interests is very critical. Then I have to know how to contact them, particularly if I have a considered purchase. And I'll define a considered purchase as something that I don't walk into a retail establishment every other day and buy, whether it's luxury or not. It's something that's thought through, and there's perhaps a process. If it's a considered purchase, I need to know how to contact that individual. And oftentimes, our ability to capture not only the boards, the public boards they might be on, but the private nonprofit charity boards they might participate in. So there's this interesting network effect when leveraging our big data and the big data that's out there to make all of those connection points. So we find that to be a very effective use for many of our customers.
And I can tell you just from the members that we know that use your services, they all rave about how brilliant it is. I guess for the brands that are not working with you to date, what would be one point that you may want to share with them that may inspire some more of them to reach out and contact?
Well, it starts with the fundamental principle that you have to know your customer. And we're seeing in the luxury market the trend towards an even greater need and an expectation, particularly as you move down to the millennials. And if you don't know your customer, then essentially shame on you, you'll be left on the sidelines. And really that second trend of real time. So it's not just doing old database research on customers, it's getting access to that real-time interaction so that you can then provide the appropriate engagement at the point of sale or at the point of engagement. You can upsell. If you're on the line and you're making a reservation on an airline, I can have real-time feeds saying, you know, Chris, we have a first-class option. I see that you might have kids. How about staying over for a weekend? So that upselling that's appropriate, that meets your persona and your exact wants and needs and likes. So it's those two components, know your customer and get access to that data as quickly as possible.
And again, they fit exactly in the profile of what every luxury brand wants more of. They want to upsell their customer better, and they want their customer to feel engaged with the brand and want to come back for more because there's a personal relationship there.
Of course.
Speaking of personal, what is your personal definition of luxury?
My personal definition of luxury. That's a good question, Chris. I would say, if I could put a word on it, experiences.
Okay.
So, that's a pretty broad definition. That experience could be in a 30-foot powerboat, or it could be at an exclusive beach with my wife and my 3 boys. But it's those memorable experiences.
Okay.
We just booked a ski vacation for this coming New Year's Eve in the Rocky Mountains, and it'll be yet another experience with my family. So,
oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And in fact, that takes care of my last question, which was, what do you do to chill out and decompress outside of work? Obviously, skiing and powerboating seem like 2 of the things that you're interested in.
A little bit, yep, that's fair. I play a little ice hockey. I dabble in that from
Okay.
time to time. But yeah, you've hit the nail on the head, Chris.
Perfect. Well, Mark, I wish we had more time, but I'm so glad you came out for the interview. We're going to actually have you guys present at an event sometime in the next few months, so it'll be good to bring some of the members in so they can kind of experience what we do. And I want to thank you again for coming out.
Well, Chris, thanks so much. We've had a long-standing partnership with the Luxury Marketing Council, and it's been a really strong relationship, and I hope it continues for a long time in the future.
Likewise, and I appreciate your time.
Great. Thanks so much.
And thank you all for joining us today for Conversations with Leaders in Luxury. I'm Chris Olshan, again with Mark Logan, the CEO of Wealth Engine. Thank you for the investment of the time and the luxury of your company.